Hi everyone, this is a video regarding the Garden of Eden from the Urantia book. I believe the Urantia book is the seven sealed scroll which has been opened at the end, as I believe that religion in its current state has come to its full fruition, and it has to advance like with civilization for the next 1,000 years. Not many people know the Urantia book, but it's definitely, when you research it in a very deep way and base its information according to the archaeological evidence, I think you'll be quite satisfied with the information given in the book. This video concerns the Garden of Eden. What I'll do is just read about the garden site of the Garden of Eden, and then we'll go through some information relating to the Bible and some videos and the location only. There's a lot more to the Garden of Eden than just the location. I believe it's all part and parcel of prophecy in John's revelation regarding the tree of life, the foundations of the earth and the city of God, and on earth as it is in heaven. I believe that to be the case. So what we're going to do is first of all read about the garden site in paper 73 of the Garden of Eden. The committee on location was absent for almost 3 years. It reported favourably concerning 3 possible locations. The first was an island in the Persian Gulf. The second, the river location subsequently occupied as the second garden. The third, a long, narrow peninsula, almost an island, projecting westward from the eastern shores of the Mediterranean Sea. The committee almost unanimously favoured the third selection. This site was chosen, and 2 years were occupied in transferring the world's cultural headquarters, including the Tree of Life, to this Mediterranean peninsula. All but a single group of the peninsula dwellers peaceably vacated when Van and his company arrived. This Mediterranean peninsula had a salubrious climate and an equable temperature. This stabilized weather was due to the encircling mountains and to the fact that this area was virtually an island in an inland sea. While it rained copiously on the surrounding highlands, it seldom rained in Eden proper. But each night, from the extensive network of artificial irrigation channels, a mist would go up to refresh the vegetation of the garden. The coastline of this landmass was considerably elevated, and the neck connecting with the mainland was only 27 miles wide at the most narrowest point. The great river that watered the garden came down from the higher lands of the peninsula and flowed east through the peninsula neck to the mainland, and thence across the lowlands of Mesopotamia to the sea beyond. It was fed by 4 tributaries which took origin in the coastal hills of the Edenic Peninsula, and these are the 4 heads of the river which went out of Eden and which later became confused with the branches of the river surrounding the second garden. The mountains surrounding the garden abounded in precious stones and metals. Though these received very little attention, the dominant idea was to be the glorification of horticulture and the exaltation of agriculture. The site chosen for the garden was probably the most beautiful spot of its kind in all the world, and the climate was then ideal. Nowhere else was there a location which could have lent itself so perfectly to becoming such a paradise of botanic expression. In this rendezvous, the cream of the civilization of Urantia was foregathering. Without and beyond, the world lay in darkness, ignorance, and slavery, and savagery. Eden was the one bright spot on Urantia. It was naturally a dream of loveliness, and it soon became a poem of exquisite and perfected landscape glory. So that's the basic theme of the video, is to verify some of the information that we've just read about the Garden of Eden. In this link is just a video run sheet, which I'll place at the bottom of the video that you can run through, and it has all various links and so forth. There was a couple of expeditions, one made in 2003 and the other in 2007, which Robert Samas, or Bayzed Samas, headed, to verify the Garden of Eden, which he was quite successful in locating. Now, this information in the Urantia book came through in 1934, and there was no knowledge of this sunken landmass between Cyprus and Syria, which is the location. And it was only till later, in the advance of technology, that data was collected which confirmed the landmass, and more detailed data was collected during the expeditions, which verified information in the Urantia book. Now, a lot of people believe that Eden was a myth or a legend, but according to the Urantia book, Eden was not a myth. It was an actual place, and there was an actual tree of life which existed, and that gave rise to many legends of immortality and the fruits and of a tree of life. So I'm just going to read just a couple of little excerpts about the tree of life. The tree of knowledge of good and evil may be a figure of speech, a symbolic designation covering a multitude of human experiences, but the tree of life was not a myth. It was real, and for a long time was present on Urantia. And here's another excerpt out of the Urantia book, paper 74. The Golden Age is a myth, but Eden was a fact, and the garden civilization was actually overthrown. Adam and Eve carried on in the garden for 117 years, when through the impatience of Eve and the errors of judgment of Adam, they presumed to turn aside from the ordained way, speedily bringing disaster upon themselves and ruinous retardation upon the developmental progression of all Urantia. And there's a link, you can go there and read more up on that. Now, we're going to go through the evidence of what was discovered in the two expeditions, and also through data collected by earlier mapping expeditions. Now, what you see here is actually what is described in the Urantia book. Here is the sunken location, or the submerged location, of the Edenic Peninsula. Here in the northern part of Eden, we have the highlands, and we have also a rectangular valley, which was also described, the same valley, in the Atlantis story, as Eden and Atlantis is much the same place. Just to read a little bit further out of the Urantia book, paper 73, as we just read, the Mediterranean Peninsula had a salubrious climate and an equable temperature. This stabilized weather was due to the encircling mountains and to the fact that this area was virtually an island in an inland sea. While it rained copiously on the surrounding highlands, it seldom rained in Eden proper. So here you have again, just to confirm the image, and here is another image of the rectangular peninsula, or the rectangular valley in the peninsula. The coastline of this landmass was considerably elevated, and the neck connecting with the mainland was only 27 miles wide at the narrowest point. The great river that watered the garden came down from the highlands of the peninsula and flowed east through the peninsula neck to the mainland, and thence across the lowlands of Mesopotamia to the sea beyond. So in this image we have a close-up of the neck. This was based on Russian bathymetric mapping, and you can see the map there of the submerged landmass, the rectangular valley of Eden, and you can see the isthmus, which they measured at 28 miles. But a further expedition has to be done to confirm this measurement. But in the Urantia book, it mentions 27 miles at its most narrowest point, where the 12 gates of Eden existed, and presumably the wall was 27 miles from coast to coast. Scrolling down further, here is another image of the isthmus, and you can see the remnants of the Great River, which is here, and this is where the walls of Eden were. Well, it seems to have this characteristic of walls in this particular section, but again we have to do an expedition there. But it's looking pretty good just on face value with these particular images here. Scrolling down a bit further, we can see where the Great River once ran through, and when the Mediterranean basin was filled up due to the Gibraltar Dam, because of the extra weight of the water, the mountains rose in the eastern Mediterranean. 38,000 years ago it was all flat lowlands, but now, because of the weight of the Mediterranean or the extra water, over time that raised the mountains on the eastern Mediterranean, including the northern part of Turkey up around Lake Van. And that was also responsible for Noah's flood, which was a local event in Mesopotamia. So we'll scroll down a little bit further, and this is another image where I think the river would have ran, but that all has to be investigated properly. Now, Eden was fed, the Great River, here's just an excerpt, was fed by 4 tributaries which took origin in the coastal hills of the Edenic Peninsula, and these are the 4 heads of the river which went out of Eden, which later became confused with the branches of the rivers surrounding the second garden. In the King James Bible, it says, "A river went out of Eden to water the garden, and from thence it parted and became into 4 heads." Now there might be some confusion here. If we look at the Russian bathymetric mapping, and which has been manipulated by specialized software, we can see Cyprus, the existing island, but also we can see the layout of the highlands of Eden, and we can actually see many tributaries which flow from the highlands into the Great River. And this is the Great River here, and you have various tributaries flowing into the lake as well as the river. So just moving on further, here's another image of Eden, the Edenic Peninsula. And also here's some more imagery of Eden when the Gibraltar Dam was dammed up, and the Mediterranean was a sea, an inland sea. Now I just want to touch on the location of Eden, Genesis in the Bible. Now in the Bible it mentions Eden in the midst or very close to the 4 rivers that seem to meet at a conjunction. But what we've got here in the Bible, it mentions Eden in the Persian Gulf, but that could actually be an adaptation of another place which was regarded as a little paradise by the Sumerians called Dilmun. In the Urantia book, it explains that Dilmun was a city built by the sons of God, or the fallen sons of God, after rebellion, the rebellion of Dalamantia's city, and they built a city called Dilmun, and over time they attempted to build the Tower of Babel inside this city. And this story had perpetuated through the Sumerian culture, and eventually during the Babylonian captivity, when the Jewish priests edited a lot of their books, they adopted the Mesopotamian version. So I just wanted to refresh your mind on the planting of the garden, and then we'll go through some Sumerian text on video, and we'll see what they say. But I'm going to run out of time here, so what I'll do, we'll look at this in part 2.